Hey guys, how's it going today? Doing the usual, right? Usual garbage. That's what we do. But anyway, today I want to talk about art. I want to talk about schizoid art specifically. Um, so don't worry, we're not going to get into some weird like art theory related shit. I'm not well versed enough in those sort of things to be able to talk about in any significant way. I don't think, but I think I know about enough about being schizoid and speaking with a few schizoid artists and interacting with them, and reading uh, about artists that could have been schizoid, but or similar in their hermit-like behaviors and the way they would react to their art being interpreted, and so on and so forth. Specifically, I want to talk about why some of us, when we produce something, when a schizoid produces something, regardless of the form of art it is, whether it's a painting or music or fiction or whatever else, one pattern that I've noticed is that there's a tendency to not appreciate interpretation. Now, criticism itself doesn't seem to be a big issue, considering that most of us are pretty immune to like any emotional um, trappings that come with being criticized for our work, or judged or something, or complimented, even, because even compliments kind of just slide off most of us. But the difficult part I've noticed is interpretation or misinterpretation of the work itself. So when the technical aspects of it are criticized, it's no issue. But when the interpretation of said piece, regardless of the medium, is incorrect, or not necessarily incorrect, but divergent from what we envisioned for it, what we intended, that seems to cause a lot of either anxiety or frustration. And I think a lot of the reason for that is the, you know, internal, external sort of consciousness disconnect that we all deal with. And we already have enough trouble trying to express ourselves in some meaningful way, in a way that actually represents our internal world. Because regardless of our isolation, there's something in us that sometimes wants to create something external, a representation of the internal. And those internal worlds vary, obviously, between schizoids, but nonetheless, there's always this kind of drive or need for many of us to somehow express it externally. If, the conventional method of, having outward emotion, real, sincere outward emotion, not masking, not merely symbols of what our internal feelings represent as far as our behavior, but something more tangible than that, something we can feel. So, because of that, I think some of us go to art. Sometimes, like I said, painting, sometimes writing, whatever, poetry. But there are mediums in which we can express those internal worlds. And so when somebody gets that art and then decides it means something else, it's very difficult for us, because we had to struggle, fight, and deal with our own demons in order to even produce it. And when I think schizoid produces art, a lot of the time they're trying to send a specific message about themselves, their reality, what have you. They're trying to express something that they can't express to anyone in any discernible way. So art is produced, and I guess when a person misinterprets or interprets it differently, the way it's perceived to the schizoid is perhaps as a mistranslation or a misalignment of some kind between themselves, their internal world, and the external. So they made this effort to produce something from inside of them and put it out there. And when another sees it and that's not what they see, they don't see what it is, then the schizoid feels like they failed. The schizoid feels like their intent, their agency is no longer, or feels less connected to what they produce. I've spoken to a few that tell me that, they produce something for themselves to express it, and then when the misinterpretation occurs or just the risk of it, they immediately regret showing it or displaying it. There's also the other issue of vulnerability. So even if, let's just say, your intent is understood, or you make sure to make it clear how to interpret your piece, whatever you created, because you have a very intentional attempt at expressing yourself, then even if they get it, even if they know what you're talking about, then you're vulnerable. Then you're open to the world, and that is, again, not the best position for a schizoid to be in. And so it's fascinating, because just like so much of our lives and so much of how we function, there's a lot of contradictions. We are the living contradictions, right? So that contradiction is there, which is that kind of catch-22, the double-edged sword. So if it's interpreted properly, you're vulnerable. They now know something about you. And if they know something about you, they then possibly, let's say realistically, or it makes any rational sense, they now have access to you in some abstract way. And abstract or not, it's still terrifying for some, or frustrating, or angry, intrusive. But if they don't interpret it, or refuse to interpret it the way your intention was, then you feel more alone than ever, more isolated in a non-good way, not in a relaxing way, in an existential way. And so you're left clawing at the walls because no one hears you. But once they hear you, you slink back into your cell. So it's a very difficult situation for an artist to be in, obviously. And that's why I have empathy, I guess, for the schizoid artist. And know this, that I have my own internal world, my internal setup and thoughts, and mine's full of a lot of anger. That's why I chose this. This is an angry Wojak painting, but I really like the way it looks. Something somebody was selling. I'll put the link down, so I can credit whoever's selling this thing that I found on the internet. But yeah, like I'm not a good artist. I'm not really. I'm a decent writer. I'm a pretty good writer. That much I can do. I can express myself through writing pretty good. But for whatever reason, as unintelligible as my speech can be, stilted even, there's something in me that is able to express some semblance of what it is that's going on inside with words. But there are also no words for certain feelings, if you will. So it's difficult. That's my struggle. So I guess I find it interesting to be heard. But I also, just as in the artist, I'm assuming that's schizoid, I feel vulnerable, so it's uncomfortable. But I want to do it for, I guess, whatever version of art speech can ever be. And on top of that, when I'm misinterpreted, I get the same feeling. When I speak something and my intentions are not heard, and something is either a joke, or something is satire, or something is an exaggeration, an irony, whatever. That's how I intend it, and that's how I want it to be heard. And so sometimes I emote a little extra. It's kind of like masking, but not really, because I'm intentionally emoting a feeling I'm trying to convey that is sincere. It's not insincere. I'm just trying to kind of convey a specific intended expression, even if it requires me to kind of ham it up a little bit, because it's effective at trying to convey my message. Because a flat affect that I can possess sometimes, like many of you, I have to tune it, because if I don't, then my words might not be interpreted how I wished. And that in turn will cause the same type of frustration that a schizoid, maybe artist, feels when their music or their art is not being interpreted properly. But at the same time, I suffer from the same issue of vulnerability and the anxiety and distress it kind of causes. It's quite a pickle, to say the least. Oh, I might as well shill myself. This is the part where I do that before everyone logs off. What's the average watch time? Probably not even this far. So if you like the kind of stuff I'm saying, please sub, like, comment. I don't care what your comment is, just comment. You could say you suck ass, that's fine. Also, if you want to support the server, community sort of project, or any other Schizoid related projects that I'm trying to get going here, and also the channel, and this kind of Schizoid awareness community building sort of channel / server, if you want to support me and my efforts, please, Patreon. God, I hate it. Just what I hate shilling. I really fucking hate it, but it needs to be done. So fuck it, you know. If you think this shit's worthwhile, give me some fucking money. I guess go on Patreon. I have Subscribestar. I have PayPal, and that way I can just focus on this more. Because just like you, I don't want to have to entirely rely on sources of income that require killing myself inside, slowly as that may be. So you guys already endure it. You know what it's like. I've endured it for years. I'm older, so I've worked for many years of my life already, and not like older. I'm 35, but still, I've done it for a while, and it kills you. So I know retail. I know dealing with people all day. So I rather pour my energy into something like this. This matters to me. Other forms I could build up income, I guess, wouldn't fucking matter to me in any way. And the way I see it is that this is, I guess, from what I've been told, some kind of service to people, and it's a service to myself. So I guess a parasitic relationship that is beneficial to both parties. There's a word for it, a certain type of parasite. I feel that maybe that's what I am. So if you want to support this parasite, please do so. Because if you do, I can let you into certain parts of the Discord server if you're a schizoid, or you know, you're related or something to a schizoid. You want to be in the server. There's sections in there in which I can let you in, so you can make direct suggestions, or if you want to speak to me more directly or have a conversation about a specific topic because you find whatever it is I'm saying insightful, you can do so a lot easier. But the other thing I wanted to mention in relation to this video, to art, is I'm also thinking about doing something pretty, I keep landing into things that I guess don't exist yet and somehow I need to create. So I'm thinking I want to do something like videos in which I read or display schizoid art. But this is the important part. I know some of you are already cringing because you're like, I don't want my art out there, you know, for the following reasons. But whether it's music, paintings, fucking knitting, I don't care what it is. A piece of fiction you want read, poems you want read. I'm down. And you can give me, especially, this will be more especially available to people that, you know, want to support the project, because then I can, you know, obviously I would prioritize supporters of the community stuff more extra. You know, that's just how it is. It's, I guess in that sense, it's somewhat merit, kind of. I don't know. I don't even want to talk about that. But my point is you know, you can give me a piece of art. Let's just say you give me a poem, right? You want me to read, but due to the issues that, you know, I just brought up in this video, you want it to be anonymous, and you don't want me to criticize it. You don't want me to analyze it. You just want me to read it and say nothing. You want to put certain limitations or restrictions on the way I display it, or whatever. That's fine. I can do that. That's what I mean by schizoid art display. Some method in which I can produce a way that you can display something without and put it out to the world in a way that's comfortable to you. So if you want, you know, let me think. You just don't want me to say what I think about it, state that. And I won't say anything. I'll merely read it and move on, or display it, play some music or something, or maybe there's a tune or a track you like that you want. You know, well, it just depends. That's copyright shit. So, but if you can find some like Creative Commons type music that's you specifically like that I can use to display your piece or something, I can make it work. We can figure something out. But in any case, yeah, I want to see Schizoid Art. If you hear my baby in the background, just ignore it. She just woke up. She was taking a nap. I want to see Schizoid Art. I want to read Schizoid Art. I want to experience and express it. But I don't necessarily want to interpret it. If you don't want me to, or if you have an intended interpretation, you can give me that information as well, and I can read that aloud or explain it the best I can after the artistic medium of some sort is displayed. So I just have these ideas for that because I notice there's quite a few artists that want to show something, and they fear showing it because of a variety of reasons. Okay, thanks for listening, guys. Thank you if you already support me, or you know what? I gotta start. See, that's the funny thing. I normally people do like shout outs for like patrons and stuff on Patreon, but I don't know if Schizoids would want to shout out, because I know I wouldn't really want to shout out. So I don't know. That's confusing to me. I would have to talk to them in the Grove, fellow garden hermits. Goodbye.